Swatche, and welcome. This is Anne from the Sioux Lookout Practice Consultant Team, and you're listening to the Practice.Support podcast, the one and only show that discusses new practice updates and changes for ISC's Ontario region. Coming to you with acknowledgement to the Anishinaabe Algonquin Nation, whose traditional and unceded territory this podcast is recorded on, and with respect to the different traditional Indigenous territories of Turtle Island that this podcast may find you. Hello everyone, welcome to today's episode with Sibo Kamalo. She's been a Northern nurse since 2009, a nurse practitioner since 2014, and joined the education team this year. Welcome, Sibo.
Thank you for having me.
So, what are we speaking about today?
Today, we are speaking about pediculosis and treatment options for pediculosis. Pediculosis capitis is known as head lice and is a common condition caused by infestation to the hair and scalp by the head louse.
Why did you want to discuss pediculosis or head lice? Why has this become important for the Northern nurses to be aware of?
Well, schools are opening in September, and we will see a lot of pediculosis cases as the children go back to school. It is important to treat pediculosis at the onset of infestation to prevent further complications.
Well, that's a good point. Can you tell our listeners a little bit more about head lice?
So pediculosis are a persistent and easily communicable disease of infestation, particularly in school-aged children. Unlike the body lice, head lice are not a primary health hazard or a sign of poor hygiene or a vector for disease, but they are a common societal problem and are relatively expensive to treat. Head lice live for about 3 to 4 weeks if left untreated. In cases with heavy infestations, secondary bacterial infection of the excoriated scalp may occur.
How would somebody get pediculosis? How is head lice transmitted?
So head lice are spread mainly through direct head-to-head or hair-to-hair contact. Lice do not hop or fly, but they crawl rapidly.
So how would the nurses diagnose pediculosis?
Remember, you have to physically see live lice to make a diagnosis. The presence of NIS indicates a past infestation that may not be currently active. Using a fine-toothed comb has been shown to be 4 times more effective and twice as fast as visually examining the scalp to detect and diagnose an infestation.
So if an infestation is detected, what sort of treatment options are available or can be considered?
The first line of treatment is the 1% permethrin, which is also known as the Nix cream rinse. We also carry pyrethrin, which is the RNC shampoo. Nix cream and the RNC shampoo are acceptable treatment for confirmed cases of head lice in children less than 2 months of age. For an itchy or burning sensation to the scalp, use a topical steroid or an antihistamine to help with the itching. There is also a second line of treatment that we carry, which is the Result rinse. Do not use Result rinse on infants or children less than 4 years of age. The other treatment option is the Diameticon silicone oil solution, but we do not carry that in stores. And if a prescription has been prescribed, remember, do not sit a child in the bath to rinse hair. Instead, protect the skin with towels and rinse well using cool water.
Are there any other treatment options for head lice? I know there are some that don't involve the permethrin or the pyrethrin.
There is little evidence to support wet combing as a primary treatment for head lice. There is also other treatment options such as using household products such as mayonnaise, petroleum jelly, olive oil, a tub of margarine, or a thick hair gel. But these products are not very effective at killing of head lice compared to topical insecticides. While natural products like tea tree oil and aromatherapy have been used to treat head lice, there is very little efficacy and toxicity data to support this treatment therapy. Using flammable, toxic, and dangerous substances like gasoline or kerosene or using products intended for animals are not recommended under any circumstances.
That's a good point. Now, what about resistance to some of the treatment options listed, like the primary treatment options?
An increasing resistance of head lice or pyrethrins, permethrin, and lidocaine has been reported. Resistance is mostly being caused by misdiagnosis or overdiagnosis. Always remember that a true diagnosis of pediculosis requires detecting live lice before treatment. If you have used 2 treatments of pyrethrine 7 days apart and they do not eradicate the live lice, consider administering a full treatment using a different class medication.
That's a good point. Now, what sort of home education or information should we provide to parents about head lice?
So, head lice infestation are common in school children, but they are not associated with disease spread or poor hygiene. Head lice infestations can be asymptomatic for weeks, and misdiagnosis of head lice infestation is common. Detecting nits alone does not indicate live infestation, and environmental cleaning or disinfection following the detection of head lice is not warranted. Head lice or nits, they do not survive for long away from the scalp.
So in addition to providing some home education for parents, what would be some education or some take-home messages for clinicians?
Treatment with an approved, properly applied topical head lice insecticide, 2 applications 7 to 10 days apart, is recommended when a case of active infestation is detected. The scalp may be itchy after applying a topical insecticide, but itching does not indicate treatment resistance or infestation. Topical insecticides can be toxic, so take care to avoid unnecessary exposure and minimize skin contact beyond the scalp. And excluding children with nits or live lice from school or childcare has no rational medical basis and is not recommended.
Well, that's been really informative. There's been a lot of updates about head lice that I wasn't aware of, Sibo. If we wanted to do a little bit more reading, where would we find some more resources on head lice?
So Up to Date and the Canadian Pediatric Society have great sections on how to diagnose and treat head lice.
That's great, Sibo. Thank you so much for coming on to the podcast and giving us a review on head lice.
Oh, it was my pleasure, and thank you for having me.
Thank you all for listening to the Practice Support podcast. If you're keen to follow up on any of the information you've heard today, head on over to One Health and iTacit, where you'll find more links and resources. For more practice updates, don't forget to find and follow us on our Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube channel at SLKT.Nursing.Practice.Support. And as always, if you have any questions, please reach out to a nurse practice consultant, an education practice advisor, or your manager. That's all for this episode, folks. See you at our next podcast.